kidding. Well, my name is Steven Nederlands. I'm one of the co-founders of Amber. We started 2.5 years ago. But before I started with Amber, I did this. Maybe some of you guys know this. I was part of the student team, TU Eindhoven. Who of you has heard of the student teams? Automotive or anyone? Okay, not everyone. Well, you should check it out. That's actually where, well, our entrepreneurial mindset, as you call it, started out. Because what we did there, together with a bunch of friends and a lot of other people, 25 people in total, we started building our very own car. And it was very cool. We just got together. We had no idea what we were doing, no idea what we started with. And then we said, well, you know what we want to do? We want to build this car. And it just doesn't have to be a normal car. It should be fully electric. It should be modular. It actually should be the first modular car in the world. And while thinking of that idea, we just got all excited. We jumped in and we just started. And actually, halfway through the project, we realized that we actually had no idea how we should build a car. We had no idea. So what we started to do, we started figuring things out. We started talking to companies who had an idea, and eventually, well, we built something. But the best part there is that well, actually, there's been a lot of people are talking about it already. We started failing. We actually realized that we had no idea, and therefore we started looking for answers. And that's actually what was the foundation of Amber. So what we wanted to do, we did not only just start because it was cool to just hang out with friends and start building our own car, but also because of the environmental impact. There's a lot of people who are speaking about the environment, a lot of companies who are changing their sustainability policies and stuff like that. And we also, in our bachelor already, I was also studying here actually electrical engineering, but already in our bachelor studies we wanted to make an impact. We wanted to contribute to what all those other big companies were doing. And actually during that project, I encountered this quote. I still use it in a lot of presentations because I really like it. I don't know if Mr. Barack Obama thought of it himself. He probably didn't, but it's a pretty cool one. So we are the first generation that feels the effects of climate change and the last one who can do something about it. Which means that we actually need to get going. And while we were reading this quote, that's actually also is what got us going and starting Amber. Because we were a student team, we did make kind of an impact because a lot of newspapers were talking about it. A lot of people got to know us and what we were doing. We actually presented our car at the auto ride, which was also pretty cool. But eventually, if you want to make an impact, if you want to make well, sustainability happen, change the world, some kind of that, you need to do that on a very large scale. You need to make a company out of it. And that's actually what got us started into doing Amber. So Amber, we're focusing on cars, focusing on mobility. Not just focusing on fully electric cars, electrifying vehicles, because a lot of companies, BMW, Volkswagen, or any company like that, they're always speaking about, well, in 10 years or 20 years, I'm going to launch 25 new fully electric vehicles. But the biggest problem in the automotive industry is not yet that that all those cars are driving on gasoline. Because most of the time, as you already said, those cars are doing nothing. They're just standing still. So it doesn't really matter if they're electric or gasoline car, it matters what you actually do with those cars. All those cars that are being produced and doing nothing, that's actually quite a shame. So that's why we founded Amber. We are a car sharing company, actually, but not just normal car sharing, not just like Green Wheels or Car2Go or any company like that. What we want to do, we want to provide a guarantee for mobility, so which actually means a guaranteed availability of fully electric vehicles. That means that every time you think, well, I need a car right now, there is a car available. It doesn't matter where you are, as long as you are within our coverage area, which we are expanding every day. So we are currently operating in Eindhoven, Amsterdam, Utrecht, and Bos, and Tilburg. But we're expanding all the time, and actually when you are within the coverage area, we will make sure that there is always a car available for you, so that you no longer have to own it. It works actually quite simple, so you just use our app. There's no cards, there's no keys, there's no nothing. You just put a reservation in, and then you'll have a car available. We actually started out, that's also what we did in terms of, well, not really failing, but it's more like trying things out. So we, as our first customer, got ABN AMRO in, and we really wanted to see how do you develop that platform? How do you make a product that people actually want to use? Because one of the things that we learned during this whole trajectory is that the only validation that you can do is actually getting your money in the bank. As soon as people are willing to pay for a product that you have, it doesn't matter if it's for consumers or companies or hospitals or something like that. As soon as there you have people that are able to and they're willing to pay for your product, then it's validated. So we need to build a product that was actually able to get money in. That's why we started with ABN AMRO. We just put a couple of cars in the garage and just start talking to our potential users. What do you need? What do you want? And start building the product with them together. And that actually launched in ABN AMRO, potentially rolling out nationwide. So that's pretty cool. So as I said, we are working with a lot of hubs. That's actually the thing with our platform. We're not just a normal car sharing company where you have to put that car back on the road, but so back on the station at the place where we found it. You can just drop it everywhere. As long as you are within an Amber hub, you can drop it anywhere you want. We're also starting to include bicycles. We're also talking to the NS, so the railroad company, to also get trains and buses and all those kind of stuff in it. So you can just drop it off anywhere you want. And we're doing that with a lot of companies. And I think that's also one of the cool things about doing what we're doing. Not just doing it with the people that you know, the people that you see every day, but also a lot of companies that you're working with, both customers and partners. A few big names. And that's also makes it really interesting. So that's a short introduction into Amber, just to give you a little background what we are doing, what we've been doing for the last couple of years. And I'd like to give the microphone to Guus.
Definitely, yes.
Or you have your own one.
Good. A small introduction for you, also based in this region, very much Eindhoven minded, and you want to use this Brainport region to actually fund high-tech companies quicker with the capital to keep them going, isn't it? To grow and scale.
That's part of it.
That's a part of it. Well, also a small pitch by Guus Frederik, High-Tech XL. There you go.
Yeah, thank you. Let's get going. I have a bunch of flashy slides which I prepared running up to this, and I'm just going to skip it. Because listening to the previous talkers, I want to tell and share with you something completely different. The stuff you've done here. And this is not only about failure, but I want to zoom in what it actually takes to be a successful entrepreneur and what you need to bear in mind before you even to consider to go in that zone. I had expected, looking at the title of the event, Full House. I had expected a lot of people who would be here and this room would be packed with everybody who is dreaming about building and starting their own business. But that's not the case, and actually that might be very good because this is not the game for everybody. So I'm going to just very quickly tell a little bit about my background, and that might then come across as, well, he has done quite a lot. And then I will tell you something really personal, what it took me to get there, and then I leave it up to you whether you still want to start your own startup or company or not. I just want to share that with you, right? So I'm born and raised here. I studied in Nijmegen, Radboud University. Started my career at Philips. My first job was at Philips Semiconductors. I was leading a department of 90 employees. I was 26. I was like, is this company crazy to give me such a big responsibility? And I never wanted to work for that silly company because my parents both worked for that company. They met each other at that company, and I had to listen to stories over dinner about that company every night growing up as a little kid. So I was like, no way I'm going to work for this stupid company. So I took that first assignment, it was a 1-year contract. I said, okay, let's do that. I packed my backpack, go travel the world, and after a year or two I'm going to look for a real company. But one thing led to the other, and within a year I got promoted to a new department, assembly and testing. I think I was 27, 28, I became marketing director, selling components to Nokia. That business went straight through the roof. I was, I think, 31. I was promoted to vice president level, one of the youngest in the history of the company. My dad was super proud. We worked 42 years and never nearly came close to that level. I'm founding member of NXP. I was in the leadership team which sold Philips Semiconductors to KKR, private equity, and over $10 billion transaction. If I would have stayed at NXP, I would have been filthy rich. Now, because Qualcomm is buying NXP, at least they're trying, for 47 billion. And I had some management equity, so if I was just hanging in there, doing my stuff, I would be pretty good. But I decided after working and living abroad for more than 10 years, that's it, I'm not built for corporate life. There's way too much political bullshit going on. I felt like being chained, and everybody was kind of shocked when I said, well, that's it, I'm going to quit. Okay, then I made a sidekick. I became a CEO and president of a joint venture between NXP and Sony, where we integrated technology standards for contactless payment. That stuff is now in Apple Pay and Google Wallet. I did that gig, and in 2010 I was like, that's it. I'm going to start for my own. So I created a bunch of companies, including a semiconductor company. I created High-Tech Excel, did a few more things. Had the pleasure to be with Steven right in the beginning. I'm 46, so I'm taking me now serious. So now let's get serious. I mean, I'm a father of two. I'm happily married. Last night I had a wonderful dinner with my wife celebrating our 13-year wedding anniversary. And I gave her a big compliment that she has been hanging in there with me and providing me all the support to do this crazy shit. Because what you see, if you would look at this story, and if you would typically characterize me, and you would look at the house I'm living, you would look at the cars I'm driving, you would look at our happy family, you would say, wow, that's success. That's how it's supposed to be. My life is miserable. Really. The amounts of time I have been waking up in the middle of the night, literally crying, shaking like this because of stress, it's unbelievable. I still surprise myself that I'm standing here, and I wouldn't be surprised if I collapse, if I walk out of the door, if I look at the amount of stress and pressure I've put on my shoulders. Sometimes I make a joke, and when people say, hey Guus, how are you doing, how do you sleep? I said, I sleep really, really well, like a baby. I wake up every 2 hours and I cry like a baby. And this is not a joke. I mean, if you start your own company, don't romanticize. This shouldn't be romanticized. It is not fun. And 75% of the previous speaker, it's an optimistic number. Probably a more realistic number is somewhere between 95 and 99%, which is fake. So the chances of succeeding are very, very low. And you only see these nice stories, and they're all romanticized about successful entrepreneurs. But what these successful entrepreneurs indeed are not talking about is their private life and how tough it is to get it to that point. Now, in the beginning, I think it is a nightmare. You are living a living nightmare. Because the only thing you do as a co-founder and a CEO is dealing with problems. All the time. Without exception. It's eating glass all the time with some moments of joy. I mean, really, some moments of joy. And the rest is just one problem to the next. And you learn the hard way. You fix one problem and 4 new arise. It's like you're dealing with a dragon with 7 heads. And there is this constant pressure of how to pay the salaries. How to raise the next round of funding. And you are doing that in a situation that either you have problems with your employees, you have problems with your shareholders, you have problems with your customers, you have problems with your friends, your social life, and most likely a combination of those. So don't romanticize this life too much, because it is very tough. And it's very difficult to make it happen. And I always talk, and when I have the opportunity to speak with Steven and other startups in our program, we try to be there, because in the end of the day, it's a pure mental game. This is a mental game. It is about, You will be hit. You will go flat on your face. That's a given, and it will happen a lot of time. The only point which really matters is how quick are you back on your feet and continue. And how many times can you bear to go flat on your face whilst you're sacrificing your private life, where you're never home. And it gets worse if you grow older and you get kids. Because then it's no longer about the responsibility for yourself and your team, but it's a responsibility for the kids. One personal story, and let's not get this out in social media, because my wife will kill me and might still decide to divorce me. One day she came home crying. I mean, we were living perfect life, right? I was earning heaps amount of money. We couldn't burn it in a month, and believe me, we made some very serious attempts. We go back to nothing. One day she comes home crying. I said, why are you crying? He said, well, I was at the Albert Heijn and I couldn't pay for the groceries. I said, yeah, but honey, then take some money from the saving account and put it on a payment account, and then, you know, what's the problem? I understand it's a bit embarrassing for you, but, you know, he said, Luus, I'm trying to explain to you for a month that the saving account is